grab a coffee, chat to her, and she would be like, "Ooh, Brian Harvey, he's so cool, and do you really talk to him?" And I said, "Well, no, not that much. I used to." And then she said, "Oh, you should help him." And so after her, after being inspired by her, you should help, uh, would leave messages to try and help him, and then talk to him now and again and encourage him to do to keep going with the channel, to do truther stuff, and then for a long time I didn't speak to him, and then I was moved to text him again when I saw the David Icke stuff, because I felt that I know David and talked to him, and it I felt the Andrew thing and the Bill Maloney talking to Andrew, and Andrew gave all those details, and being a sex abuse victim myself as a very young child. And I was 4 years old when it started, when I was adopted from the care home. My adoptive father started straight away with the sexual abuse, taking me to Ireland. He sold me to a group of men that took pictures, and it's in my Searching for Daddy memoir that so a lifelong, be getting over it. It's I'm still not over it. It just destroys you. And so listening to Andrew as someone who's been through that, and then of course after my adoptive father had finished with me, he tossed me back in the care system at 13, and I witnessed men being not I didn't actually see it with my eyes, but a lot of the boys were raped in care by the social workers. The girls, not so much, but the boys, they really made a beeline for them. And so listening to Andrew, just my heart went out to him, and I felt so sorry for him. And he was saying, "Oh, David, I do this, David, I do that." And then at the end of it, Bill, who's also been sexually abused, said, "Oh, you sneaky C word." And I thought, I never knew that about David Icke. And then Brian pointed out that it wasn't true, but I said to him, "But it doesn't look like that, though." And he said, "Well, no, everybody knows that." And I said, "Well, I didn't, and I don't think I'm stupid. Maybe you should take it down." And then there was a bit of crosswords actually, and he shouted in a message, and I had just been shouted at by my ex, and I was getting over that. And what am I put on this earth for men to shout at me all the time? Yeah, in that way, in that way where it goes right through you and you feel just like a piece of shit on the floor. And he did that, and then he blocked me so I couldn't do a rejoinder. And then I noticed Daniela had liked one of our. I had a conversation with her ages ago, and I can't remember what it was about. And I actually, I don't even think it was about Brian. I think it was something about Big Brother, and she had followed me, and I didn't talk to her. There was no need to. I did see when we did the stuff about abuse, she liked or retweeted the show, something to that effect. I had that in my head, and then when Brian shouted at me, I then went and I was speaking to. He blocked me, and I was like fuming. I was really angry. I wanted to shout back, and I went to speak to her and say something, "Oh, men, oh, you put up with that same thing because I've just, realized that Brian is the same." And then I was looking at myself, am I attracted to that kind of man? Why did I feel I had to help Brian? I mean, why did I? I didn't have to spend hours and hours talking to him. I didn't have to leave messages about what had gone on with the news of the world so he could use them to and he played one of my messages. Well, they were to be played on a show, so I'm not embarrassed by that. What I am embarrassed by that he put my telephone number up there, so I got calls. And he then said, which was repeated by somebody that I know in the Truth Movement, that I had gone to the Sun. So it jumped from me talking to Daniela, which I did from his shout at me. I did go straight to Twitter to speak to her because I was just sitting here and I was very upset. And he reminded me of Paul, exactly reminded me of him. And I thought, what is this? You kind of swear off abusive men. You think, I'm not going to. And I haven't gone out with anybody for years. And then all of a sudden, but you're having a relationship with men like that. You're having relationships with the kind of men that you used to like sleep with, but they're friends, and then they're abusing you almost like you're in a sexual relationship, but you're not. I don't really understand why I'm in that position. And so I wanted to speak to her. She'd like the show, and I thought maybe she has a key to why she, after all, dated him. So I just wanted to just have a bitch. There's nobody around. I wanted to have a bitch about Brian, and I think I exchanged a few words, and then the next thing I checked Brian's YouTube, and he was doing a video saying, "Oh, she's gone to speak to the Sun," and I hadn't seen that, and I thought, well, that's odd. And then he went on, started slagging me off and saying that I used to look okay in the 90s, but now I looked ugly. And I thought, I don't really need that. And then he said that I didn't come round to his house because I was worried about my appearance and I was really shallow. No, it wasn't actually about that. It was his dogs. And he must remember that. I said, at the start, I said, oh, you're a pop star. I don't look very glamorous. And he said, no, it's okay. He was really kind to me about it. Now I know he was secretly thinking I was unattractive, but okay, whatever. He was saying, no, you've got a nice face, and secretly thinking what he said on the thing, but never mind. He persuaded me that he thought I looked okay. And so then I was due to do it, and I said, you know what, I don't think I can. He's got the kind of dogs that I'm actually scared of. So it didn't work out because well, Paul actually agreed to go with me, but then he had bits and bobs on, but he was going to come and stand by the back door so they wouldn't sort of jump in. But and he wanted to meet Brian, but it just kind of got to a point where it didn't happen.
What are you meant to have gone to the Sun and done exactly?
Yeah, he said I went to the Sun. Now I was fire. No, I wasn't fire. I wasn't on staff. I might as well have been on staff. I worked for them for 6 years from 2003 to 2009 as a private detective, basically. And I worked for Chris Farrow. And then in 2009, a guy called Nick Parker did a undercover sting investigation on Heather Mills. And it was just real bullshit. It was just sloppy, untidy, nasty, which Nick is nasty again. He's a misogynist. And I didn't want anything to do with it. And he passed me a phone and said, you've got to pretend to be such and such. Heather Mills is going to ring you in a minute. He came around my house to do this. I thought, I don't like this. It wouldn't be the way I would work. It was just wholly dishonest. And he had promised her £1 million or something for this, that, and the other. Anyway, she rang me and she said, are you such and such? I think I said, well, yeah, I am. And then she went, she put it on her website. It was a long time ago. She put it on her website, and I hadn't gone through with what Nick wanted me to say, basically. And I had just tried to calm her down. She was really upset. Anyway, Rebecca Brooks then said, oh, Christine behaved really unprofessionally. I don't want to hear anymore. It was, out of order what she did with Heather Mills, and now she's on Heather Mills' website because she take the call. And so basically, I was just cut dead. Now I worked for all that time. I'd done plenty of front pages. I was really angry, really absolutely livid. So when Graham Johnson, who I knew from the News of the World, said to me, why don't you work with me and Hacked Off, and we'll destroy the sun. And so I, worked with him. He, as people know, Hugh Grant paid for that riverboat house that I had, and I was working with them until I got burgled. And I give him loads of dirt on the sun. Now, when Max Spears passed, and Vanessa wanted, to do a story on it, I said to her, do you want me to ring around, the mainstream newspapers? And she said yes. So I tried, and nobody was interested. Nobody was interested. Next thing, she had done something with the Sun, or the Sun had got hold of her, and they wouldn't pay her anything. And she said, Chris, you know the Sun, don't you? And I said, well, yeah, but there's been a lot of water under that bridge. And she said, well, can you speak to them, and try and get me some money? So I rang up, and they literally said, you're not allowed to phone here. We know what you've been doing. And, there was a whole lot of shit. They wouldn't pay her. I had to then go to the union and say, look, I know this woman. She's a friend of mine. I advised her to go to the Sun, even though I didn't. But I said, you have to pay her. So there's a big battle with them. And literally, I am not allowed to ring that news desk. I am not allowed to ring that news desk. I cost them millions with work that I did with Hacked Off. And I am, to say persona non grata, is a complete, I just, if I rang, they would just, just slam the phone down. They knew it was me. They would just slam the phone down. And I hate that equally,
That's pushed that rumour.
well, yeah, nobody believes it though, because everything Brian says it is knelt before. And, he came out and said, I with Daniela, or I encouraged Daniela to go to the Sun. I didn't know anything about that. I'm not actually friends with her. I've tweeted to so many famous people on Twitter, had a row with Tommy Robinson. Doesn't mean that you know them. I think there's one tweet, I think, to Daniela about, abuse and misogyny. And I do think we got a lot in common, but of course I didn't. And you think, does Brian think for one moment that Daniela doesn't know journalists? I would say that she does. I would say that she would have a massive amount of.
Yeah. She's
She was
been in
in
the entertainment business since she was a child. That's the whole point of what's going on with her.
exactly, and not only that, it was the Mail, the Sun, the Mirror. She was all over the press. She was absolutely everywhere. So I don't know if she went to that. Who knows? She didn't run that past me. I don't know her. She
She's a
didn't.
grown woman. She can make her own decisions.
Yeah, and she went off, and I didn't even know it till he started saying that I had some of that instigated it. I Googled it. I was with my son. I Googled it, and I said, "Oh, look, it's all over the place." That wasn't instigated by me. It's like one of those annoying things where somebody's got a missed call, and then they think, "Oh, you sometimes hide your number, so why is it, that must be you, like, oh, the press, so." That must be you, it's just,
I
I don't
think
know.
it's a case of putting two and two together and making five.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it quite upset me last night because he did that. He said, I was ugly, and then he went on more and more nasty stuff, and then he did another video. I was quite upset, and I actually do have to relate to Daniela, who said, "Hang on, I don't really need this. This is going to push me into using." Because I also have problems with sugar and all that, and and I found myself sort of reaching for the bloody chocolate. He does push people and make people upset. He doesn't realize he's not the only one. Oh, he's crying, and So I just saw on a woman's channel, an activist doing, who I know, who did a video of Brian crying. Now, I hadn't even seen him break down. I thought she was just had gone to the press, perhaps about him talking all the time. But seemingly he had cried. Now, I just found this out just now, like half an hour ago. because an activist had put up a video and he was crying. Now, this is the first time I had seen it. I cry every day, though. I just want to say I cry every single day. When I left care, an orphanage was given to a paedophile. And that paedophile took me, and I had to go down on this paedophile when I was 4 years old. And that continued on until I was 8 years old. And then I was tossed back into care. He also sold me for pictures. That's all in my book. I've even, so much sexual abuse, I was actually allowed and accepted to write a misery memoir. So it's quite, I don't know, it quite sticks in my graw to suddenly be on the other side. Do you know what I mean? There's abusers like my father, gold-plated abusers, pedophiles, gold-plated pedophiles, and there's people that are victimized by them. And I've spent my whole life, I haven't had a proper marriage. I can have sex with a man once, and then after that I smell the stink of my father. I haven't got married because of it. I'm in a rented shithole because of it. I fear being chucked on the street. I haven't gotten a proper job because of it. I went from the care home. They had private detective agency that used and abused young girls. I was one of them, so I learned how to be a private detective. Then they found out I was writing to Brady. That was to find out about, why are pedophiles, and then when I thought, ugh, what a dirty, disgusting old man this is, suddenly the press were there. And then I got involved with the press. So it's like, why am I suddenly on the other side of the thing when my life was completely dragged through the shit? Do you know what I mean? That people put you on the other side when I'm sitting here in an absolute dump with black mold on the ceiling. And when I look back to whose fault it is, I can quite frankly see my father's penis. And if he was still alive, I'd be going around there just to attack it. Sorry, going on, but I'm quite angry.
No, it's all right. I think
Quite angry.
we understand
Sorry.
where you're coming from.
Well, you come
Because
to somewhere called the Truth Movement. Now, I wrote a second book about my life, and somebody said to me, "Oh, I think you were MK Ultra. I think you were a monarch. That's why you went down and had that affair with the real IRA commander." So that's why I entered the Truth Movement. And then all of a sudden, you find yourself with people that are quite willing to dirty your name through the mud and say you're somehow a perp, somehow you're a perp. When I swear, if people looked up the word victim in the dictionary, they would find a massive picture of my face there, gold plated victim. I've written 2 books, and no, 3 books. Only one of them I got paid something. That where I was ripped off as well. But the other 2, I didn't get paid a penny. My last book, In for the Kill, I spent 3 years writing it, didn't get not 1 penny, not even 1 penny. I must have the word victim tattooed through me like a stick of rock. And then you get people there, and oh, he's cried. Oh, Christine, that bad perpetrator, Christine. I mean, sorry, I calm down, but I'm really angry. Wow, just need to calm down. Gosh.
um, well, from what I could see, Brian was crying because that was when he kept repeating that they're going to kill him. They want to
Who,
kill him.
who's that? Who's gonna kill
Who's
him?
gonna kill him?
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure.
Right. But this absolutely nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with me. Absolutely nothing. Wow.
I think
But
it.
carry on slagging my name off. I mean, go for it. It doesn't matter. But there is a God. God does actually watch what we're all doing. And it's easy to put out nasty stuff about this one and that one. And oh, I don't like her. And she had a bit of fun. She worked for Fleet Street for a while. Actually, I didn't. I was used. I was used to get in cars with murderers, right? Some, rapists. Oh, get in the car with them. I was said to go here, go there. I nearly got beaten up, attacked, raped, God knows what, until I started going out with Paul. And Paul went down to the old rose. He said to Greg, he got whiskey, he slammed it down in front of him. He said, "See you, mate. You get your wife to do what you're making Christine do. Yeah?" He said, "Maybe your daughter." He said, "But she doesn't do it anymore." And that's my adventure with the news of the world. Maybe one day I'll write it up. more using, more wiping ass on me, which I think I was probably born for. And then you go in the truth and more people wiping ass on you, you know? Well, go ahead. You know, Brian can go ahead and say all big bad me in my little hovel with my black mold. Oh, and I can't even afford a pair of pajamas, so I'm here in just a skanky old dress that I wore last summer because I haven't got any pajamas. Sorry, I shouldn't have pajamas. Well, it's bedtime actually, isn't it?
Okay, near to that time. But the point of what Brian's
He doxed me is what he doxed me. He doxed me. So I had loads of calls from people. I mean, you know, why do that? What have I done exactly? What does he think I've done? What does he imagine that I have done in between me being abused by just about everybody that wants to wipe their ass on somebody? Oh, I know, Christine. And why do they say Christine Joanna Hart? Because actually, it's not my name, it's Dolores. You know, Dolores. Why don't they, you know, I mean, I picked that Joanna because I want to be like Joanna Lumley. And they all say it with a big emphasis on it. And it's not even real, you know? And Christine Hart actually is my adoptive name. That when they tossed me back into care, he said to me, don't use that name. Don't use that name, Hart. And I thought, well, what name can I use? Because, you know, there's a name that I left behind when I was 4. Am I supposed to use that name? Tracy Sweeney. Well, yeah, I think I am supposed to. Do I really want to use a name that a prostitute gave me, you know, slept with, I don't know, 5, 6 women. I think I was scraped off a brothel wall. Do I really want to use that name? No, I don't. So actually, I haven't even got a name, but they really home in on that Joanna as if, oh, I'm going to take her down a peg or two. So it's interesting. It actually worked because I picked that name because I thought, I want to get power. I want to feel powerful. I know Joanna Lumley in bloody The New Avengers. So I want to be like her. So I used it. But now when people say it, when they like want to smear me down, they say Christine Joanna Hart, as if, yeah, I've got someone really powerful I'm going to tug down. Well, no, I'm here in a shithole. There's black mold everywhere. And I'm wearing a dress that stinks that I got from Tesco. So how about that? Sorry, I'll calm down a second.
No, it's okay. You obviously needed to vent. You're very upset.
I
It's not a
think,
nice thing to have your phone number put online and get a lot of calls. I mean, were any of the calls threatening?
no, they weren't. No, I mean, one guy was particularly nice, actually. You know, I didn't even know it was up there. You see, this annoying thing when you know that people do stuff about you, you have to watch their channel. And, you know, sometimes you don't want to, you know, sometimes you think, but I had a feeling about Brian. I had a feeling there was crosswords and he left me that message, but I felt I had to do something to stick up for David. I just didn't like it, you know, putting that, you know, because I know, you see, it's okay for somebody that hasn't been sexually abused. Okay. Brian hasn't been raped. He hasn't. Okay. And so he doesn't know how people that have been raped feel. And so watching that big guy, you know, I was nearly in tears watching that. And I thought, well, bloody hell, Brian, David, I raped him, you know, and he was a little face, that guy, and he looked at the camera. I was
Andrew
nearly,
Ash.
yeah, that guy, yeah, yeah. And I don't think you should put stuff out like that. It's very sensitive. And people that have been sexually abused, they obviously get very angry. Like Bill Maloney was very angry after. He was very angry with David Icke, wasn't he? He turned around to the camera and he said, you snidey C. And I could feel his anger. That's the anger of somebody that has actually been breached themselves. I can tell. I can tell other people what it's happened to. If it's happened to me, I can just tell. But Brian, it hasn't happened to. And so I felt that that was putting out something that made it look like David Icke was a rapist. And when I said that to Brian, he got really cross and said anybody can work out that, you know, it's not. I mean, I still don't know the story behind it, whether was it that Andrew had made it all up or supposedly Bill Maloney had made him. I still don't really grasp.
I'm not 100% sure, to be quite honest.
We're all supposed to work out that David Icke isn't a rapist after all.
And I think a famous female politician as well. they said things about her, and then that's meant to be not true. So there was a few people on this list that Bill Maloney was going through, that
And did the guy Andrew, he made it up, did he, or what?
no, Andrew didn't make it up. He was I'm not 100% sure what is I don't quite understand what is going on, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
It's
I
really
didn't.
confusing. I think it's deliberately meant to be confusing.
Well, what it does, it puts real people that are out there, it puts them off coming forward because they think, what about? I've had people say to me, I've had people bitching about you, and the truth of it was a whole the girls got, and I did contribute towards that, like, Terry Joyce, and I was bitchy to her, but then you get people saying, oh, you're a bad egg, and it's quite, and then it puts other people that are sensitive and they think, oh, I want to tell my story. And then they see what happens to you and they're like, oh, I wouldn't like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I have to own that I do get angry. I do get a little bit like Brian himself, actually. I do, I can get
Yeah,
cross if
I
I
mean,
feel
maybe that's the point of all this, is to put victims off coming forward.
it is.
And
I do, absolutely, because I really regret it. I think, why did I start telling my story? And somebody said to me before that, in that MK Ultra group, they said, "Don't. Why would you go out there and tell your story?" And I said, "But it all needs to be exposed." But if you look at it, I mean, Max Spears, which Sandra DeRoy did that rather excellent video. I don't know if anybody's seen it. I can put a link to it below, about Miles Johnson. And, Miles Johnson and Kerry, they're quite suspicious. They are suspicious. I don't mind saying it, they are. And Max wasn't happy. He thought when he first met me that I was friends with Mark. You see how gossip goes around. Oh, I thought you were his buddy from the BBC years back. And I'm like, no, I don't know him from Adam. I was in this little help group. There was a girl there called Nina. Nina had gone to speak to Mars Johnson. And I thought, oh, is this what we do next? We go and speak to Mars. So I rang him, in Messenger. I said, oh, well, I'm like Nina. I said, do you want to hear my story? And of course he did. And then I did my story with him, but I didn't know him from Adam. And I said to Max, I don't know him from Adam, but I get a bad feeling about him. I get a bad feeling about Kerry, who had just blatantly ignored me when I said hello to her online. And he said he didn't say gatekeeper. He said he's a, and I said, stupidly, I jumped in, I went, gatekeeper. And he said, no, something worse than that. I said, what? And he said, but I'm working on it and I'm going to reveal it. He said, make sure you get me at the conference. He said, Mars Johnson didn't want him at the conference. He said he wanted me to persuade Mars to have him, which I did do. And he said he was going to reveal it there. Of course, he never got there, did he?
well, which
But
conference was this?
this is a 2016 one, in devices that we were all going to go to, this conference. Sarah was going to go with Max. There was others there, sort of quite big names, and Mars didn't want Sarah there, he didn't want Max there. And then I persuaded, and he said, right, but you babysit both of them. So I said, fine, I don't mind. I didn't know Sarah at that point, but, I didn't mind babysitting both of them. I didn't mind. I was quite excited about going. And of course, then next thing we got, I got the call on the Sunday that, he was dead. And, I do think when you look at, Sandra DeRoy has now done this video saying that that Miles said Max has got to go. He's got to go. And, there was this odd meeting at Stuart Sverdlow's house in London. And Max and Sarah went there. And next thing, Max was sucked over to Stuart Sverdlow's house in Poland, next thing dead. But, I had already been told this by this group I was in. This woman, Anna, who ran it, she said, you go out there, you talk about Monarch. She said, you're dead. And she was right. I mean, obviously I'm not dead, but I certainly got kicked about in, my reputation in the truth movement is just, yes, rubbish. Again, this Daniela thing. Oh, her and Daniela. See, she's not a real truther. She's here to spy. She's MI5. She's, I was a private detective. I did work for ex MI6 officers. Yeah, and
So
now I do know.
let's
It's
get
so.
this clear. Have you ever worked for MI5?
No, no, they wouldn't have me, would they? I'm working class. I worked for, when I was at the kids' home, got recruited into a detective agency. Some of the guys there were MI5, sure. But it wasn't anything to do with the government. Now, as you know, I went to Northern Ireland. I lived out in Belfast, so I had to explain this to the real IRA down in Dundalk. And if they can suck it up, I'm surely other people can. And then I worked for detective agencies that were ex MI6. That, and also I worked for detective agencies that were ex CID. And I was trying to, before COVID, I was trying to get a detective agency up off the ground and working with some MI6 guys I know and another guy who's MI5. These are normal people. To me, they're normal people. They're army-ish people. Because I worked in that industry since I was 16, I like mixing with army people. I mean, I like mixing, I suppose, with the UDA out in Belfast, and a bit of the IRA. I mean, I like it, but it doesn't mean, I didn't do any work for the government. It was all private work, and it doesn't obviously involve spying on Brian Harvey. But I mean, what can you say if people decide, if he decides to think that? Oh, it's like the IRA. I could have been down there one night and one of them could take exception and say, I think you're still working for one of those agencies. You're here to spy on us or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, what can you say? I ended up having a sexual relationship with the second in command of the real IRA. I mean, when I was in bed with him, he could have said that, couldn't he? He could have freaked out and he could have said that. But then you have to look at, I mean, when I wrote Searching for Daddy, I wrote about all the MI5, MI6 stuff. And then they said to me, you're not welcome in Ireland again. And then I sat and wrote In for the Kill, where I told about the relationship with the real IRA commander. And then, of course, after I wrote it, um, that woman, Anne, came forward. This is how I entered the truth movement. She said, you're a monarch. You went down there because you're a monarch. You entered those private agencies because you're a monarch. You went into Fleet Street because you're a monarch. You didn't go by your own volition. You were, a slave, as it's called, a monarch slave. Now, I talked to Brian about that and he thinks it's all mad. And then he said on his video, she's mad. Again, so my story as a monarch, which is valid, I have actually done things that a monarch might do, sexual with a leading terrorist. Surely that is the prototype of what a monarch slave would do, act as a spy. Um, Now, the activist I spoke about, the YouTuber, she has done, decent things about this. She's suffered from it herself. She's done spying also. It's interesting and it's something that needs flushed out. But it's like, as soon as you do put your head above the parapet to talk about it, you just get slapped down, because, now I don't feel that I can come out and talk about stuff like that because people are, oh, you were spying on Brian Harvey. Well, it's like, so it shuts people up. Whereas the truth community is supposed to be somewhere where you can go and say, yeah, I did do that. Yeah, I did do that. Like, yeah, I did work for the cops. I did, but I'm here to tell my truth about that. Not, oh, I'm here to spy on another truther. I mean, that's not right because surely the people that are whistleblowers, they come from places like the press, they come from places like these agencies. But if they're going to get pushed out, and especially if people that have been victims and like little donkeys for these organizations, mostly they have been battered about and sexually abused. And then, like Daniela has been sexually abused, and then she was brought into the industry, the entertainment industry. So people, and then they whistleblow, but you can't. then put them on the side of the perpetrators when they've been like victims. Do you know what I mean? I mean, why was I in bed with a real IRA commander? He could have caved my head in. He's a high, I won't say his name. He's famous. He's been in the papers before. Well, he's been in the papers many times. I can't go back to Northern Ireland. They believe that I put him in prison. So if I went back to Northern Ireland, they would kill me. They would literally destroy me. And what if they decided to come out here and destroy me? So I know all about living in danger. When I published In for the Kill, an INLA guy I know called Terry Harkin, he rang me and he said, "Do you live at such and such?" And I went, "Yes." And he goes, "Right." He said, "They're going to kick your door in and blast you with a machine gun." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, that book, you shouldn't have done it." And I was terrified. I had to go and stay with a friend. So I know all about, living in fear.
Who was
And
going to kick your door in?
he said the real IRA, basically.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, this is Terry from an INLA leader. But I then got on the phone to what?
What's the INLA again?
Irish National Liberation Army. They're the ones that shot Mountbatten. I was very close to them, and that they introduced me to the real IRA, basically. And
So they're nationalists.
yeah,
Right, they're not
so
loyalists, they're nationalists.
yeah. And so he said that to me, and yeah, I was scared, but I'd written the book. What the hell could I do? Then I got in touch with the Real IRA themselves, and they started, calling me whore, basically. And that's what I had to do. But I don't know, because I'm trying to investigate. Talking to people like Max, talking to James Casbolt, who I corresponded with in prison, finding out, was I down in South Almar having sex with second in command of the Real IRA because I'm a monarch, or am I crazy or something? Or, do I want sex kicks? Or, I want to find out about myself. But how can you if you're busy in the truth community and everybody drags your name through the shit? What you end up doing is keeping quiet and keeping out of it, which I did for quite some time, actually, because I just thought, this is too much, I'm just online here. I have to look for work. But then, when you Google yourself, up comes just stuff that you don't want to come out. Do you know what I mean? And
Well, yeah,
so,
you've been quite a busy girl because you've been accused of being behind Max Spears' demise.
yeah,
And now you're
it's really upsetting poor little Brian Harvey, yeah, who shouted at me so badly, he made me absolutely feel sick. So, yeah, right, okay. I'm the big bad bitch. Oh, and as well as being ugly. So, yeah.
so basically you're the Wicked Witch of the West.
Yeah. And what does that make you do? Just makes you go away, makes you leave it. So no more radio shows, no more investigating Monarch, no more talking about Monarch, because after all, you've been found out as a big bad bitch. You're a spy. You're here for Brian Harvey. Yeah. So back off, go away, or we'll dox you again and you'll get strange phone calls. We'll put your address up. See, it's spiritual warfare as well going on, people get, spiritual warfare too. So, people get, oh, one person, oh, that's a bad person. Then other people join in. And, before you know it, I don't give a shit anymore, actually. I don't give a shit. I don't know. Is it worth it? I don't care about my life because, like, I'm older now. I just got to think of my son, and I'm living, I'm living in a bad place, and I'm not happy about it, and I'm not happy about my life. I've worked really, really hard. I've never had a proper love relationship. I've never had a sexual relationship. I would like to know what the Crusader Rescue Jesuits had to do with me living in the way I did. And I think I do believe in the Monarch programs. But have I been able to investigate it? No, I haven't really, because of the Miles Johnson and the sort of Kerry Cassidy takeover of everything, and the other things that go on. So I just think, well, I'll just die without knowing. And the last little years, they've got to be about my son. I've got to think about bringing money in, getting a job, and just put it over there. Forget about it, because you know what? It doesn't feel worth it. It just doesn't feel worth it.
Well,
I'll find out after I die, presumably, what has gone on.
didn't Fritz Springmeier give you quite a bit of information at one point?
Yeah, I did a show about him. He said that I was definitely a monarch, and he told me about that show on Netflix. Is it Netflix? Yeah, the OA. Seemingly that is about monarch, and the when they're kept in those little glass chambers, that's about what they do to monarchs. And they time jump, and that is what they train monarch super soldiers to do. As you know, I spotted Darren G as a super soldier. That is what super soldiers do. They sort of train to be active in the astral, and the causal. And so that is what the guy did in the OA. He did that to them, and then they time jumped. And then basically the guy who kept them, he chased them throughout time. So he was based on Mengele, Joseph Mengele, who invented the programs. He was supposed to be Mengele, and he hunted them through time, which is interesting as well, because I do think that certain people are sort of tagged, and they come back and they have bad lives over and over again. And yeah, it's not great really. But I was trying to get to see that tonight actually, but I haven't got a subscription. It's so expensive, Netflix.
Well, Netflix is very agenda ridden anyway, in my
It
opinion.
is. It is. Things like the OA, they're worth watching. Some of the stuff, I think they're trying to tell us, well, in a nasty, gloating way, what's going on. But I was trying to sit down and rest. I'm a single mother. I've got my son. He's needy of me for this, that, and the other. I'm trying to bring money in. I have absolutely no idea how to earn money. Absolutely no idea. And I just wake up every day and think, what do I do? What do I do? And it's not a nice life. So I'm, not having a great life. And then you get somebody doing videos of you that you're a big bad bitch. And I'm not bitchy. I'm not bitchy to anybody. I don't hurt people. And you get that, and it really upsets me. I've got nowhere else to go. Where do I go? Oh yeah, crisps and chocolate. So I can be called even uglier. And I know I don't look great, but I'm unhappy. So yeah, sometimes I do hit the crisps and chocolate, which I do tonight because of what happened last night. And I just want to try and relax this evening. But is it possible? Then you see another video done about you, about, oh, you and Daniela and got together and went to the sun. Oh, presumably I got a payout, did I? Yeah, maybe I can pay someone to get rid of my black mold. I might tweet Daniela and ask her to make it clear that we don't know each other. And making one comment to someone on Twitter, that doesn't know, that must mean I know Donald Trump then, you know? Oh, and a whole host of other celebrities. James Woods, oh, he spoke to me once too. Am I his friend? Oh, and Mickey Rourke. Am I Mickey Rourke's friend as well?
Well, why don't we see if Daniela will come on the show?
I don't really know her. I mean, why don't you ask her? I mean, I don't really know her. She's going to think, I'm milking the situation. And I think she's upset. And so I don't want her to think I'm a big
Well,
bitch either. Oh,
what
look
I
at
mean is,
seizing the opportunity. Pardon?
I don't mean from the sensationalist point of view. I mean from the point of view of she liked the show that we did about abuse.
Yeah.
Well, let's invite her on the show if she wants, obviously, to
Doesn't that
talk
make
about
more gossip
that.
where, oh, look, those two together, they were always together, even, when I was at the News of the World. Oh, that, doesn't that, I don't know. Is it, sometimes you think like it's best to just crawl away and not get slapped by the slappers. Is that cowardly of me?
No, I don't think. Well, it's exceptional to go through what you're going through. Most
Is it?
people, well, yeah, because most people don't ever get a glimpse of what it's like to be
Anchor?
demeaned in public and have your personal contact details put out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean it's humiliation, isn't it? You've been humiliated in public, and
Scary. I mean, it's like you think it doesn't matter, but then you start getting scared because you know there are certain people out there. Like Brian Harvey's got a big following, and there are people out there that bitch, I'm going to get him because he's quite charismatic, and probably has people that love him. So you can start getting paranoid. I mean, I'm not above getting paranoid myself.
well, I think that's reasonable. I think
Yeah.
that's a reasonable fear. He has got a big following, and he was crying the other day, and that I was reading the comments, and people were really upset,
Mm,
understandably.
mm.
If that's the person that you think a lot of, and so this is really complex. Uh,
Well, the guy I spoke to last night, he said to me, because I know this guy for quite a while, only over the phone, but he said when I was helping Brian, doing my best, to help him, with advice, in case anybody thinks, well, what were you doing? With just advice in the inner workings of the news of the world and what he should do. And, I even told him that there's so many documentaries coming up. There's one on Channel 5 I was in, that's coming up. There's one on Mazza, that's coming up. There's the TV series. Is it Netflix? I don't know, but there's a TV series on it. I said to him, I know the contact for these people. You need to get in contact with them. And in case people are thinking these must have paid me to be filmed by them, no, they don't ever pay you to be filmed by them. So I went along and spoke to them, and of course the film people, the Judd Apatow, and I told him about that, and I gave him the contact details for all of them, and I said, why don't you go to them, get your story out, and that way he might get the compensation, which is surely the bottom line to all of this. Maybe it's not anymore, but he would certainly get a platform and get his story included rather than just be on YouTube. But oh no, that's not helping somebody, is it? I put a lot of effort into talking to them. And this guy said to me, don't speak to him. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, oh, he takes everything you say. And I said, well, I don't really mind that. Maybe he's taping it so he can remember a little bit. I don't mind because don't trust him. Don't trust him. He'll turn on you. And I'm like, no, he won't. I won't do anything to make him turn on me. I mean, we're not lovers. So why would he turn on me? There's not enough push and pull in the relationship where it can get all sort of, nah, I'm going to turn on you. Do you know what I mean? It's not sex. How can it possibly get like that when nobody's shagging anybody? But it seemed to have got like that very, very quickly. I mean, I don't really understand it. And then he's busy calling me ugly. How did it sort of get in that sort of weird sort of twisting where it feels like an ex or something? It feels like one of my exes, actually. And then I had, as well as Paul shouting at me, I had this other ex out of the blue, the one I told you about. He
Ray.
rang, and yeah, he was shouting. He shouted at me, and it was weird. His sister's a novelist, not a well-known one. I had found a picture online and just scrolling, saw a picture of him. I thought it was him when he was just put it on Facebook. No, I didn't name her. I didn't name him. I said, oh, an ex. Oh, how cute. I mean, nobody even looks at my Facebook. I think it got nil likes. Just about to take it down, he rang me, shouting at me. I mean, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. This men ringing me to shout at me when I've done nothing. What's going on?
I don't know, Chris. I don't know. It's
I thought it might be that healing. I mean, I had the healing, as you know. There's the,
yeah.
I had that, and I thought, was it that the healer's American woman? Is it that it's triggered some kind of tripwire where you get battered verbally? I mean, I don't know. It's strange, but I did ask this lady. I'll be speaking about her in the future, but at the moment it's all quiet. I'm keeping it quiet. She said that the healing brings them out, but they've always been there, but quietly watching. So I don't know, that probably makes sense. I mean, I don't think Brian ever liked me, you know, to say what he did about me. I don't think he ever liked me. Or you look like shit. I mean,
It,
what's that got to do with the price of chips? He can't have ever liked me. And I remember sending a picture of me saying, oh, you know, I don't look really great for the show. This is what I look like now. He must have thought I looked like shit. He spent ages telling me, Christine, you've got a really kind face. You look nice. And I thought, oh, thanks, you know. But he can't have actually thought that. So it's like, and she said to me that they've always been out there. They've always hated you, but this kind of brings it out. So I suppose in a way it is like a tripwire where, I mean, like my ex was probably always looking at my Facebook, but I didn't know about it. So, and he was always out there seething and hating me. I just didn't know. So it's like it kind of, the healing, she said, it brings it out. So it brings what's hidden out. So I thought that was quite interesting.
so what are there that have been hidden then? What did she mean by there?
That you have these enemies that are there, so they're watching. Do you know
So
what I mean?
enemies, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. Almost like sort of like, yeah. I mean, you know, my exes for me, it's strange because I would say to myself, you know, I've got a weird compass, a weird attraction to a certain type of man. And but when I had my son 17 years ago, I thought I'm not gonna date somebody. I'm a single mother here. It was bad with the ex. So I'm gonna stay single so I can focus on him. And I should focus, focus, focus. He deserves my full attention. And I did that. It was hard at certain points. And I was lonely at certain points. But, you know, I did that because I thought, well, I'm attracted to a certain type of man. They turn abusive. You know, it's not violent, but it's like verbally. And I didn't want it in my life. And I didn't want it around a child. But I kept relationships with men that were platonic, non-sexual, and it just seems strange because I would say, well, I'm celibate, so I'm not having a relationship with, but really I am having a relationship with men. It's like strange. It's like, even though it's not sort of sexually attracted to them because that's not there, you're sort of attracted to them even without the sex bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So that must be like chronic, mustn't it? It must be like a chronic kind of sickness. And that guy, the Tim, but he said that to me. He said, "You are attracted to men like that," and I said, "But I don't sexually fancy Brian Harvey." Um, you know, and he said, "No, but you, it's like a draw." And you know, it's like you might get slapped at any minute, and you like enjoy that in a way. And I thought it was rubbish, but now I think it's probably true. It's like, is it needing danger? I don't know. That somebody might turn on you and you might get your life ruined at any moment. Oh, that's very sexy. That's better than sitting there with a packet of potato crisps watching Netflix. You can be all over YouTube, called a bastard. You might have your door kicked down by a fan. I mean, it's more sexy, isn't it, than sitting there with your potato crisps and your Kit Kat on your own on the settee. Do you think?
Um,
Oh,
I just think this is just getting out of control. I just think people's emotions, everybody's really got high emotions. There's loads of accusations flying about. It just seems to have accelerated all of a sudden.
isn't it weird as well? The people that are in control of us all, the elites, the ones that are, you know, giving us all what they're giving us, and let's not talk about it or we'll get our channel crashed. But, you know, we're in a bad situation at the moment. Isn't it weird that all these people come together and say, let's call it a truth movement? But really, it's actually a terrifying place to be. I mean, anybody listening to me right now and thinking of joining it or coming forward, I would say no. I would even say don't even bother. Don't even listen into it. That's what I would say because it hasn't got me anywhere. I mean, I joined it in 2015, and I would say it's wasting my time. I mean, I do know about the elites, but so what?
I mean, so what, really, at the end of the day? And you think, oh, there's all these people, they've got together, and there's a truth movement, and there's so many passionate people like Anthropos, and so many, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to, but, I mean, like Brian as well, when, I got together with him, I thought, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But, it just kind of descends into a kind of like, meaninglessness and badness and just squabbling and disgustingness, and I don't know, it's just not worth it. I think people that stay away from it and look down their noses at it, they're probably more intelligent, actually.
Well, there's no doubt about it. There's some people involved in the truth movement that are just out and out con artists, and charlatans. I mean, I suppose it's a problem with anything that a lot of what the belief is in, there's like sometimes not empirical evidence, hard evidence, and you haven't got like institutions like science or history or whatever behind what people claim. But that's the point of the truth movement, is it's exposing things that have been hidden deliberately. But anything like that, there's always a danger that you're going to have people who are going to exploit it, and I mean that's what's happened.
But there's just so much nastiness. I mean, I remember after Max died, and I was just on Facebook one day, and I posted a picture of him, and this girl came up and started having a pop at me, and we know all about you as a group of us. Oh, what? And next thing on Randy Maughan's radio show was another guy, and they were saying, that I murdered him, and I thought, what? I couldn't believe it. I mean, I just thought, and then it escalated and escalated. Miles Johnson then said it on Kerry Cassidy, said, oh, she worked for XMI6 agencies, therefore she's spooky, therefore she must have been linked to the murder. I mean, it was kind of really horrible because I felt shocked that someone I knew had just keeled over, or whatever happened to him. It was like shocking, and I felt really sad about it. Then to be accused about it was kind of disgusting. That really made me feel weird for quite a long time, actually.
Yeah, it's like a really ridiculous form of Chinese whispers, isn't it? But why do people make these claims? I mean,
Miles Johnson started it. Yeah, Miles Johnson started it. I often say that, oh, okay, so Max is dead. James Casbolt got trashed, and he tried to smear me with not only that I was involved in getting rid of Max, but that I was somehow Colonel Michael Aquino's bum chum. Now, that was a complete and utter lie. He knows.
that's another good one, wasn't it? That you really with Michael Aquino, yeah.
Not only did this man know about these programs, right? Of course, I'm gonna, as a journalist, when somebody that it was the same woman, the Anna woman in the group, she posted a picture of this guy, said his name, and the name rang huge bells with me for some, like in my subconscious. Oh, again, you're not allowed to investigate that, are you? No. I said, oh, I find him interesting. Oh, don't speak about him, she said. And I thought, hang on, love, you just posted about him. What? And I'm not allowed to then say, who's he? Oh, I've got to keep quiet. And that was all very weird. And so I looked online, found his email, questioned him, and the story of what happened. Next thing, Miles Johnson is busy calling him my friend, lying on a YouTube that I had given him his home number. And it was all really, I don't know. Yeah, so I asked him about it. I said, because I spoke to him after that. I haven't spoken to him for a while now. I said, why did you do that? And he said, well, you were slagging me off on Facebook, so I wanted to slap you back. But I don't think it was that. I think it's more well thought out than just that. I really do.
Interviewed him.
I know.
Didn't you do 2 interviews with him?
Yeah, he did. And you know what, as well? You know what is sinister about that? You know what's sinister about that? Taj said he was going to interview him. I thought to myself, well, hang on, I should have been the one trying to do it. So I said to Miles, why don't you interview him? That way I wouldn't look totally stupid, that Taj is interviewing him, and I didn't, because he was with Revolution Radio at that point. And so I said to Miles, well, why don't you do it? Because he had bases, and then I could listen in, whatever. And Taj at that point said he wasn't going to do it anyway. So I thought, well, maybe I should do it. So I said to Miles, well, I'll do it. And by that time, Miles had emailed him and sneakily kind of gone off and, done it on his own. I emailed Aquino and said, can I interview after Miles? And he then said, oh, you want to talk about the Monarch projects? And I said, well, yes, I do. And he said, well, I'm not going to speak to you then. And then he said, he wrote me an email. It was really triggering. He said, you mean about when they slowly turn a card over and it reveals Queen of Hearts? And I literally, when I read that, I just went really, really icy cold. And I couldn't stop feeling cold, like really, really icy cold. It was really awful. I had to ring Fritz Springmeier, and he said, say to yourself, you've got to say to that part of you he's triggered, stand down, you've done a good job now. So I was busy sitting in this cafe shivering, saying to myself, you've done a good job, stand down. Are you done a good job, stand down? And that was really weird. But Miles stuck the boot in, said, oh,
Chris, you've dropped.
sorry.
Are you back?
Yeah, so I didn't get to interview him, and had Mark's interview with him was crap. It was just empty. And had I have spoken to him, I just said to him, look, let's talk about the Monarch program. And I would have got something out of him. I would have got something out of him. I'm a good people would say probably, oh yeah, well, he wouldn't talk to you. But I've been in Belfast. I worked for the Sunday Times. I went along to the UDA one time, and the editor said, you won't get a story out of John White. I sat down with him and I said, John, I need a story for this Sunday. I haven't got a story. I said, oh, come on, I've got to pay my rent. Come on, give me a story. And of course, he laughed and I haven't really got one. So I said, why don't you make friends with the INLA? I said, you can do that, can't you? Make friends with them. And he was like, I'd never make friends with them. They're bastards. And he goes, no, come on. What would happen if you did? And I had him talk about surmise and, what would happen if he did make friends with the INLA. Anyway, I wrote down everything he said, filed copy, made the front page of the News of the World with my byline on. So I know how to sort of tease things out of someone to do a story. And then I went back to the UDA guy as well when he sort of left Belfast and went to Manchester, and he wasn't talking to anybody. BBC were out looking for him. What did he do? He phoned me 1:30 at a nightclub. Christine, I'm in Manchester, I'll talk to you. And nobody even believed it. I rang the Sunday Times and I said, he's just rung me and he's going to give me an exclusive. And they said, everyone's out looking for him, he's not talking to the press. And I said, well, I just got him on the phone, and they sent somebody where I'd told them to go, and because he was in England at that point and I was in Belfast. But the fact is, if you're experienced and you talk to somebody, even though they don't want to say anything, you can tease something out of them. And actually, I managed to, in the emails, I said to him, you must have heard of Monarch, you must have watched programs about it. And he said to me, if I spoke about it, I'd be dead in minutes. I'd get a bullet for the head. So there's the answer. He knows about the bloody programs. Hello, you still there? Oh, you still there? Are you still there?
Sorry. Oh yeah.
Did you fall asleep?
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Oh God.
Okay. Oh, boring you. We should then.
No, you're not boring me. No.
I went on a bit.
God, that was weird.
Oh, don't worry. I went on about Aquino.
Yeah, I was starting to dream about him.
Yeah.
Really odd.
But again, you get shamed, and a lot of people were coming out. There was Rose doing
videos about me and her and Daddy Aquino. And, I was sexually abused by my father. I was trying to find out, was I sexually abused by Aquino? That started to trigger me. I started to get depressed. So it's like the whole thing put me off then talking to Aquino. Do you see how it's subtly done? So I back Miles stepped forward, Miles who's, and so Aquino wasn't interviewed. There was a bullshit interview. Now, had it been me, I know Aquino was desperate. Clearly, he was desperate for a little bit of attention. I would have got him on my show, and then I'd have asked him nothing else but those projects. And then had he said no, I would have been like talking to the UDA, and I would have said, let's talk about surmise. Let's talk about the occult. Let's talk about astral travel. Do you believe in that? Well, he's supposedly a Satanist, so of course he believes in that. So, you can dance around the bushes if you're good enough to interview somebody and get him to talk about but I didn't get the golden opportunity. And that's how it all works. That's how the truth community, it's a joke, really. It's there to stop you from getting near any kind of truth, actually.
So it was engineered, you think, the circumstances. So you didn't end up interviewing Aquino then?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, because you would have got more out of him. You would have got the nitty-gritty kind of thing.
Yeah, and somebody said, oh, he might have triggered you on air. Well, he triggers me on air. Wouldn't that be interesting? I mean, these people, it's, why? There's so many people in the truth community that don't give a damn, that are there just for kicks and laughs and all that. But if you've been, like I was, severely sexually abused as a little child, and then, you feel it's linked with your Catholic orphanage, and then, you have a life that's kind of bizarre and a little bit odd. I mean, why was I down in Dundalk with the real IRA? It kind of doesn't make sense. Why don't I have a proper sexual relationships with people? Why haven't I got married like every other bugger? And you kind of look at your life and think, I need to find out here what's gone on. Somebody comes along and tells you it's because you're a monarch. You're hungry and you're passionate. There's a lot of people in the truth community, things like that haven't happened to them. They're not hungry. They're not passionate. It's a lark for them. I mean, Miles, whatever happened to him? I don't think anything happened to him, did it? So he's not really passionate about finding. Well, he seems to be, but really what sort of, what drives him? You don't really, I don't know. I sort of knew him for a little while, like everyone else, just to talk to over the bloody phone. And I don't really know him at all. I mean, what drives Kerry Cassidy to sort of, bang on week after week after week? What's her thing? What's her deal? What's her passion? And if you'd ask her, she blanks me. Why? I've never done anything to her. But if you sat her and asked, she said, I want to be a good journalist. I want to tell the truth. But I find these people questionable somehow. And maybe that's wrong of me. I don't know.
Kerry Cassidy's a weird one. I mean,
I can't watch her things, actually.
You can't watch her?
I can't. It just makes me feel odd.
Really?
It just does. It just, I just can't. I've tried to.
What do you mean it makes you feel odd? How does it make you feel?
I just can't describe it. Just get a weird feeling like, I don't know. It's almost like I feel that she puts the vibration out over the guests, and I'm like hungry to hear the guests, but it's almost like she covers them with some kind of vibration that makes it impossible to listen to them. I don't know. It's just the thing. Somebody else said they picked that up too.
Well, there's rumours that there's a lot more to Kerry Cassidy than meets the eye, but then this is what we're talking about, rumours and people saying things. But she has got a good body of work, hasn't she? But then the thing about the guy that was in prison for murder, oh God.
I know the one there was a lot of controversy that he was a liar.
The secret space program guy, and then the English bloke, Mua, was investigating it.
More, yes.
And it's utter bollocks. And he's like interviewed the I think the guy that's in prison that is meant to. Kerry Cassidy said there's no way he could have committed the murder because he was on another planet or something at the time. Oh, sorry, but I think that Thingy Moore, sorry, I can't remember his first name. He's interviewed the teenagers that, or one of the teenagers that guy got to kill his business rival or business partner, whatever it was. And yet they spun this big thing about what is it? Oh God, I can't remember. It was secret space program stuff anyway, wasn't it? Yeah, and all that. But it's a bit like there's these classic legends, isn't there, in the truth movement? It's like the Phil Schneider story. That's one that does the rounds, and
I don't think it's rubbish now these days. I just think there's not anything going on. I feel bitter about the James Casbolt thing. I wanted to compare notes with him, and he just got chased out of town. That's a setup. I feel real about that.
Yeah, there's something's gone on with him. Definitely. He's a targeted individual. He's a monarch, a male monarch.
Who?
James Casbolt.
Yeah. Did you see that Darren G did a video? Tommy Robinson is having a pop at him. That's odd, isn't it? Why would Tommy Robinson have a pop at him?
Tommy Robinson's having a pop at Darren G.
And he did a video about it.
Why? What's he saying about Darren G?
Well, it slagged him off, various slaggings, but it's strange that he would bother to do a video about just someone that he thought, that he didn't like. It's kind of odd, isn't it? I thought it was odd anyway.
Oh, yeah, that is weird.
And then Darren did one back about him. It was quite funny.
But Tommy Robinson's got bigger fish to fry than worrying about Darren G.
But he seemed worried about him. It's kind of strange, isn't it? I did say that boy was a super soldier. I really think there's something interesting there. Anthropos wanted to interview him. So I said, you two should. You two should. I mean, I think that would be really interesting. Ian and Darren G,
It certainly would. Yeah, because there's there'll be people like that in America that have been targeted. And it's a bit like a puzzle, isn't it? A big puzzle that fits together because Andrew Gainer's brought to light certain things about what's gone on Merseyside and Liverpool and how the police have protected prominent members of society that around that geographical area who target young men. And Darren G was one of the targets.
Really?
Well, yeah, but when you listen to Darren G describe what happened with his family and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and how he ended up. The usual story, you end up going to a big house in the countryside. How many times have you heard people describe that? That things have happened to. There's something going on there for definite, but it's like this thing about certain not serial killers, certain assassins, like the classic ones like Sahan, who killed Eric, and then the guy that shot John Lennon. That's meant to be to do with the Process Church, isn't it?
Well, I think, the serial killers that I met, Brady and Bianchi, especially Bianchi, they for sure were monarchs, for sure. I mean, I didn't know about Monarch before I visited them, but I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I had a feeling that something had gone on. And I had a feeling that it was linked with something to do with me. And I remember telling a publisher about that. He said, he kind of looked at me as if I was mad. He said, what do you mean? I said, I don't know, but it's like something that happened to them
It's happened to me. And because I haven't been like them, I can tell that story. And it's odd, but years and years later, somebody comes and says about monarch, and there's books about them being monarchs as well. And I think 100%, especially Bianchi, 100%. He had the altars, and a killing altar, and I've read the transcripts from the killing altar, and it's fascinating because this killing altar was like so different. It was like not in a body, and
Yeah.
just the way he talks, I found it absolutely, absolutely fascinating. And of course, again, that has been washed over. You get people that say, "Oh, he was just feigning it. He was just feigning it." Well, 100%, he wasn't feigning it. If you read the transcripts, he would have to be Stephen King to make that up. I mean, it's really fascinating. Even the drawings he's done of the drawings he did in one altar and the different handwriting, it's fascinating. And that's Monarch. And there was a psychiatrist that I spoke to. He completely believed in it. And then another guy that had been involved with the army and the military, he came in and he said, he hasn't got an altar. It's all made up. No. And of course, then it got washed under the carpet. Nobody, examines Bianchi's altar. It's all, oh, he just made that up. And there you are. Again, nobody investigates it because, oh, that's made up.
Yeah, well, the clue there is his military. Well, obviously, you're psychic. You picked up on the vibes and everything.
Yeah, I did.
You recognise things. What do you think about Cathy O'Brien's transformation of America?
Yeah, I've read it. I mean, it's okay. I mean, maybe she's one. I mean, it's hard to tell. Sometimes you think, oh, that person isn't, or that that person is, and it's kind of it's still, there are a lot of people that come forward that say they are and they're not, and they muddy the waters. That's annoying. I think Casbolt definitely was. And
Yeah.
what about Casbolt? Even though I thought it was weird that we both were in care up to the age of 4, but never mind, that's strange. I like the way he said super soldiers are dark. There was none of this like you see online. There's a few psychics, they're like, I'm a super soldier, and then they go on to do their psychic readings and say, oh, how
it's
good they are.
such crap, isn't it?
But
Honestly.
one thing about Casbolt, he says super soldiers are dark. Super soldiers have got a demonic altar, and if they're going to get better, they need to look at that. And so I liked his honesty.
Yeah, I thought that. I thought there was one interview that he did. I think it was after he'd been in court for down in Cornwall for all the things he got banged up for. And you watch him and you can see there's something in there. You can just see it. There's not just James in there. There's something else in there. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's blatant. And it's dark, like you said, it's dark. But yeah, at least he's honest. It's not all this. It's almost like a modern version of the Knights of the Round Table, like some kind of heroic sci-fi fantasy figure. And it's much, much, much more darker than that. I mean, this is really ancient stuff. I mean, this goes right back to the Egyptians and beyond that, doesn't it?
Does it?
Yeah, mind control and all that goes way, way back in time. I mean, it's probably off planet or something originally. But who knows? But I think one of the keys in all this is a Catholic Church. Because
so do I.
One thing I've learned in all this time is everything seems to lead back to the Vatican. Everything.
Oh yeah, Bianchi was a priest for a while. That's covered up too. That's covered up.
He was a priest.
He was a priest. Totally covered up. It's okay, it's in Chris Berry Dee's book, but the main book written about the Hillside Stranglers, none of that, and it's all, oh, it was Angelo led Bianchi. Well, Bianchi was the leader. Angelo went along for the ride, Bianchi led it. Bianchi was altered up, and he was a priest in the seminary, Catholic Church, again, bastards.
Yeah. it's just incredible to get your mind around, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure my name is Mud, so I'll have to take a back seat now. No more talking for me. You know, I'm the bad person, and yeah.
Yeah, but if you take a step back, I know it's hard, but take a step back and see what is said about you, because what is said about you will be very telling, and it will reveal what certain people say will reveal a lot about people. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Because what is this all about ultimately? Well, one thing that we know about paedophilia, right? Jeffrey Epstein and all that was basically a control mechanism. I mean, it's an old thing now, isn't it? They've been doing it for a long time. It goes back to bloody God, what? I don't know. Hundreds of years this has been used. To get people in power, whatever it is, whatever power they've got to do what you want, because you've got the dirt on them, that they're kiddie fiddlers or whatever. So Jeffrey Epstein's centre of power seemed to be rumoured to be like Mossad, Israel, all that. Okay, we get that. That seems pretty logical. We know that they're pretty ruthless and all that, but leaving that aside. But what's the motivation here in England right now in the 21st century? Why all this? What is it all about ultimately? Is it about controlling people? Is it about, like Bill Maloney was reeling off all politicians? Is it about controlling MPs, controlling politics, money? What is it all about? There's got to be a basic root cause to all this.
Oh, what you mean? You mean Epstein?
Everything that's going on now that Brian keeps going on about. You know, the Red Room and the paedophilia in the entertainment industry that we well know about, that's a proven fact. It's not, you know, up for dispute. But ultimately, is it about a bunch of perverts, or is it more than that? Well, it seems like it's a lot more than that, doesn't it? It goes beyond that.
I saw a paedophile close up. You know, my father. I don't think there's a load of them. But then when I spoke to somebody about that, I remember speaking to the producer I had. He went, "Don't you understand it? It's not about sex. It's about adrenochrome." So, yeah, it's not that they're like, I mean, my father, my adoptive father, not blood connected, he was a gold-plated paedophile. I don't think they're very common. With the elite, it's about the feeding off the fear. Like Bianchi's crimes, they look like rape, seem like rape, but you look at it, it's the torture and the fear that would be the main thing there going on, you know, the feeding off that. I mean, he was hosting something that was non-human.
That's when we start getting into non-human territory, isn't it?
I think it is. I think, you know, at the end of it, you know, it boils down to that, and then you can't talk about it. When I talked about it a bit on Sean Atwood's show, somebody said underneath, I feel sorry for people like her that have been through mind control, because they would start talking about the lizard people, and then they look stupid. You know, I know David Icke talks about it. Max Spears started talking about it. Actually, that's a link with them. And then, of course, James Casbolt talked about it a lot. You know, they're not around. I think it's a pretty dangerous.
What, the lizard people or entities
Well,
that
reptilians and Draco reptilians, and you know, that kind of thing. You start talking about that, it just, you know, it just gets swept away. And you and I know, you know, it's a reality, but you start speaking about it.
But God, I always seem to bring up Thomas Sheridan, don't I, on the show? But his recent upload about, there was Sunday, there was a big hoo-ha in Dublin. Did you hear about it?
No.
There was a big, I think it was an anti-lockdown demo. I saw some footage of it on Twitter, and there was loads of people running around the streets of Dublin and the police chasing them and fireworks going off, and it just looked like chaos. But Thomas Sheridan was talking about this recent event, and he said it was so staged. It was so staged. He said there's footage of this woman and she's shouting, "Who will save our children from the reptilians?" I thought, what? And he said, so there was this woman shouting, "Who will save our children from the reptilians?" And then he said there was 3 women. I can't remember what he said the other women were shouting, but this was part of this demo. And then somebody setting fireworks off. I mean, basically, I think the gist of what you were saying is it was very staged what went down. So yeah, the reptilian thing. Back to the reptilian. Is it just reptilians? I don't think it is. I think this is the thing. What about the Archons? They're not reptilians, are they?
There's a lot of ET. I think this vaccination, this vaccination program, I think it's linked, because David wrote in his book, I can't remember which one, about 10 years ago it was published, about the vaccination program. So, there's a whole chapter on it that, this is going to go down. And he put that it was a reptilian agenda. For some reason, there's something in that makes us a certain way. Now, we won't ever find out what that is because we don't know anything about them. But I don't know, something. I mean, somebody brought up stuff. Oh, you take it, you get cut off from God because it shuts down things in your cells. I learned a lot last night speaking to this healer, this American person, and who I'm going to do, some stuff with a women's magazine about, probably. And she was saying that, that there is, there is a thing that shuts down the cells with the vaccination, and basically our cells are shut down with toxins that we've got, the stuff that they make sure our food's got in it, weed killer, and the wheat isn't proper wheat anymore, and our bodies are like clogged with it, and so we aren't very conscious. We're basically, most of the time we're pretty asleep. We think we're awake, but we lurch from one.
I would agree with it there.
Yeah, my days go from thinking who's slagging me off today, reacting by it, feeling depressed. It just, another week, another sort of trauma from somebody. I mean, last week it was Ray, then Paul, then Brian. I'm pretty getting sick of it, actually. It just makes life not worth living. But she was pointing out about clearing our bodies out with chlorella, and she did a really amazing thing on me last night, which was like deleting all my files in my head and cords that I had. Now, I've done cord cutting, when I've seen people and done psychic reading, I've done cord cutting, just the basic stuff, but this is really interesting. This went on in my organs, and as she was doing it, I was seeing faces that I hadn't seen in so many years, and they
in your mind's eye you were seeing,
my mind's eye. Yeah, and really clear. It wasn't just all fuzzy picture and slight glimpse. It was, they were coming up really clear, and as they were, I was feeling things pulled out of me. There was a teacher who used to bully me at school, Mrs. Terra, at my school, and when it got to her turn, her face flashed, and then I saw like spears in my right hand arm, and then they fell out during the process of what she was doing. And it was interesting because when she taught me, I would be sitting over that one side of the classroom, so her energy would have gone into that arm, and there were like spears there. It went through back a literary agent I had, when it came to him, there was like manacles on my ankles. It was really weird. So much like stuff kept coming, and dirt was exfoliating off me. And then it was, then she went and cleared cords in the brain, and I was seeing like all these like sheaves of paper come out. It was really weird, but today I felt so much lighter and so much clearer. So it's weird that we have all this stuff packed in on us, not only in our bodies, what we eat, and she said to take chlorella to clean it through, but our energetic bodies and our auras, they're like weighed down with all manner of stuff that we have no idea. We just think, oh, we spray a bit of essential oil around and that clears the energy. But this is, I mean, I had so much that a little spray of that was never gonna get that out of the way.
How do you get coded to people then? How does that work? I've never understood how that works. Do you know?
Well, yeah, I'm seeing a bit of it. It's like when you have like a relationship with someone, if it goes beyond a certain level, then you can get cords attached, and it sort of it could be like sexual, it could be about money. My literary agent, he ripped me off, so that's linked with the manacles. I think he's put things out about me, because if I ever made it big, I could talk about the fact that he sold a book and I didn't see any money out of it. So that might have been that. I'm not sure, but it might have been. And then, like with my teacher, there was spears in the side of my arm. So people have reactions to you. You have reactions to them. And it's like the energy stays with you and you get it like stored up. When I was cleaning, she did a cleaning of my father. So he came, she said, now I'm going to do your parents and other people that have hurt you and just keep thinking of them. But they came up involuntarily. I didn't really have to think of them. And when my father and brother came out, it was all, of course, around the abdomen and around the sort of, genitals area. And as it was deleting, it just felt strange. It was like black soot coming out. It was really odd, and I thought, God, everybody should know about this, because for ages, and I spoke to therapists saying I feel dirty compared to other women, and the therapist said to me, one of my many therapists said, "Oh, that's because you're not married," and I thought, well, hang on, mate, no, it's not.
Bollocks.
Yeah, no, plenty of women aren't married. I always felt, compared to other women, that I was dirty. Show me another woman and I would feel less than her. And I would think to myself, it's because I'm dirty. And I would know that it was about being sexually abused. But I
Yeah.
thought, hang on, that's many, many years ago. How come I still feel dirty? And I thought there must be a way of cleaning this out. And that's why I got into that yoni business, the steaming. I was busy putting essential oils all around that area over the years. And I thought there must be a way. And it was only last night when this woman did this thing, deleting it, I felt it come out of me. And it was really weird. It was like things had been like inserted into the energy body and the astral body around that, and they were just coming out. So it's so interesting. We have that energy body that stores that trauma and stores it. And if it is something dirty like that, like a disgusting piece of shit that got a innocent child from a children's home, oh, I'm going to give that child a daddy, and then, oh, here, take that, and it's disgusting. That is a really dirty,
Yeah,
dirty.
it's diabolical. It truly is diabolical.
Yeah, and I'm storing that. So I'm storing it in me. Yeah. So like I'm not to blame for it, but it's like I'm carrying the dirty of it around that area. So it's with me. So it's not even the fact that I have to have sex to have it triggered, even though mine certainly was. But when I'm with other women are busy having happy sexual relationships. I sit next to them. Their energy vibe is different from me. They're having this energy, this normal life. And then I think, oh, and they trigger me. Oh, I'm different. Oh, I feel different. Oh, it's that dirty down there that I'm carrying. And it was, to have that cleaned. I mean, I just feel amazing. If I had the money, I'd just go and buy some new clothes. And I've been having lots of baths because I think, well, I feel really great. I'm going to feel even more clean. And it's amazing, actually.
Yeah.
I feel quite gobsmacked. But it was shocking to learn about so much dirt that we carry, and it's from all these relationships can be with women as well. Someone dislikes you, you might find it as like fingernails stored in you, or maybe sort of scars on you. It's quite. I mean, I did know about it in the way like when my mother whipped the back of my legs when I was like 6, 7. Sometimes if I'm arguing with a woman, I can feel pain on the backs of my legs. It's almost like I can see them in my mind's eye. So she did some deleting around that as well. So I know energy could be stored, but I didn't know that you could work on it. I mean, I think that's quite a discovery she's made, and I think, which is why I'm not saying her name, because I think that's pretty big. That's a story.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, what you're talking about is the dark feminine. I think you've had the dark feminine operating throughout your life, really, haven't you? Right from the word go. Then you're still getting it now.
Well, there was men involved, but you mean those men were a bit sort of like effeminate? Because I
Well,
think as well, I do. No, I have to agree with you because, my ex, we were talking and we were talking about him possibly being gay, and then the other one, he's very like a girl, and
and you said about Brady and Bianchi, you said they were like women. There was something very feminine about them. So you've had a real dark feminine theme
what
running
about my
through your
adoptive
life,
father?
really. Sorry?
What about my adoptive father?
I don't know. I don't know, but I've noticed as I've got to know you and I know about your life story and everything, there is a masculine thing going on, but the dark feminine seems to be particularly insidious, and it seems to be used as a weapon against you, quite a powerful weapon. But that seems to be more like emotional, to give you emotional pain, whereas like the male energy in your life has been more physical. So it's been like the sexual abuse from your dad, and it's been like your partner's physically assaulting you. So there seems to be two sides to it. They've used women in one way and men in another way. Because men, don't forget, men can hurt you emotionally. That's what narcissistic abuse is about.
Well, I've
Like,
been having all that shouting at me. Shouting at me does when it reaches me. I think out of the three of them, Brian, Paul, and Ray, I think Ray got me the worst because he rang and went, hi, like that. And I hadn't spoken to him about, I don't know, 7 years. So I was like, oh, hey, like that. And I thought, we can have a good chat. Really
yeah,
hurt me. It really, really hurt me. And I guess Brian turning on me after we talked, we had talked. He's even said on videos, oh, me and Christine talk a lot. We have great chat. He said that. He can't deny that now. And yeah, when he turned on, I didn't like that. It got nasty pretty quickly, I think, with him. And all I did was mention David Icke and said it looks like he's a rapist. And he got nasty with me straight away. And I thought, you didn't ever like me, actually, did you? And I think that with Ray, he to talk to me and shout at me over a picture on Facebook. There's a lot of hate there, a lot of, and certainly with Paul as well, sometimes you can feel the hate. The hate is like, it's amazing. It's such a strong hatred. It's like you've killed their child or something. It's a hate where they destroy you if they could. If they could see you down the bottom of a toilet covered in shit, they'd do it and they'd think, got rid of that dirty, evil bitch. Do you know what I mean? It's like that. And it's like, I'm getting a bit sick of it now. I'm not going to have it anymore because, if they've had bad mothers, fine, but I've been a good mother to mine. I don't know. Is bad mothering behind them being like that? I mean, I don't know. Is it behind Bianchi and Brady? Yes, it is. So I don't know, but I'm not a demonically charged female. I didn't ignore my child and narcissistically abuse them. So they end up really, really, really angry women. Certainly that anger's in there. I don't deserve it targeted at me. I'm not a demonically charged woman. But it seems that with demonically charged women, like in the village where I used to live, the men sort of grovel round them. So it's like
yeah,
it's like men like that. They probably think they're getting at demonically charged women, but they're not actually. They're sort of getting the victim ones, you know, they're pounding on the ones that aren't demonically charged, you know. It's like, what the hell? Like Daniela, for instance, she's not demonically charged. I can tell it a mile off.
Yeah.
But she's been slapped and called names. And I mean, someone on my Facebook even today said, you know, and she's a nice woman, said something negative about her. And I thought, I haven't seen anything negative about her. I've seen her being slapped about, like, you know, emotionally and all this kind of stuff. So it's like women that are soft get it in the teeth for the demonically charged ones, for sure.
Well, how can you judge somebody's life? I mean, you don't. We haven't got a clue about Daniela, really. We know some things about her life. We know she was an actress in EastEnders. We know that she's been acting since she was very young.
Big enough to get on Big Brother, which I think, you know, people get on shows and they're scared of showing themselves. She wasn't scared of showing herself. Hello?
I'm listening. I didn't know
Yeah,
she was on Big Brother.
yeah. She wasn't scared of you showing herself in a prolonged thing. It's very easy to do quick little YouTubes, you know, and hide your natural self. But if you're, you know, stuck in a situation like that, I think that the real self comes out and how you love other people, and, you know, just my opinion. I mean, I couldn't do that. I would crumble. I would be under the bed sobbing and scared of everybody. I couldn't do that Big Brother stuff. No way.
Yeah, it must be hard.
Hmm.
I mean,
Should we wrap up? I'm just thinking.
yeah, we've been going for I've got 1:42. So,
Yeah, it's quite
how
because
do you want to
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, just to say we'll be back next week and hope you enjoyed the show. And sorry I got stroppy earlier. And
Yeah, I fell asleep. I'm sorry.
yeah, I know. So I got a bit upset. I've been upset.
Well, that's understandable. It's not very nice having things like this happen. And like you've had a few weeks of it, haven't you? Like you said with Paul and Ray, and now you've got Buddy Brian Harvey shouting at you. And all the rest of it. People accusing you of various accusations over periods of time, and the latest one is to do with the newspapers. So
I know. I mean, I used to get upset about being called evil. Now I don't, not really. I mean, I don't. Nobody's calling me evil. It's a big bad witch. It's kind of moved to. I think they realize the evil thing isn't, you know, having its effect anymore. But it's not that it hurts anymore. One gives up wanting to be liked, but it's like it's stressful, you know, it just takes your time. And then the following day you're getting over it. And it's just like, it's just, you know, what just makes me feel, what am I here for? Like a battering cushion. And then you don't know how to fight back. Because if you fight back, you get angry with them. That just escalates and escalates and escalates. So that is, I don't know, I think the way around it is to just be like really, really humble. If you're like on a roll with getting battered like that and targeted and, you know, you can't do anything about it. The only way out of it, and somebody told me this as well, thank you, Louise, be very, very humble, and also don't want drama. Stay away from the drama of the situation. Back off from any drama and be incredibly humble. So
sounds sensible to me.
I think that works. Yeah.
Don't feed the trolls. Because
In
what's
that
it
kind
going
of
to
way.
achieve ultimately? It's just going to feed them, isn't it, basically? Give them what?
Yeah.
She said this now, she said that. And
Yeah,
it's
I was
pathetic.
told when the healer was doing the work on me, that was another thing that came out, the trolling, and it was weird because I saw who was behind it as that was getting deleted. So it's weird. It's like, I don't know. I think the things lodged in our energy fields, and I think they're attacks, aren't they? I mean, she was like clearing everyone out, but sometimes though, like a guy I knew in the past called Trevor, when he came up, I thought, oh, I don't want you to leave my energy field. But then I thought, I want it clean. But so good people, you know, came up too, You know, it's
Right.
quite interesting that we store. I mean, I suppose people maybe have got me stored. And I suppose that's why maybe in the 10-step programs, they say if you can make amends to people you've hurt, go and, you know, so you say sorry. So maybe you pull out the cording. Maybe, you know, you say, I'm really sorry, let's say goodbye nicely. And it sort of undoes the sort of cording, maybe. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like when people talk about the power of forgiveness, sometimes it's not necessarily coming from a place of goodness. It's coming from a selfish place because it's freeing you from like an attachment to the person that's done you wrong. I find that very fake and false. I don't think it's true forgiveness, but that's what somebody said to me. It's not really them sort of getting off the hook. It's more for yourself that you do that. And I thought, well, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I think like forgiving, I don't know, forgiving. I mean, I was hating on Brian last night, and then I thought, well, hang on, you know, I didn't even see him crying. I saw that, like, you know, before we did the show. Or I would have felt, you know, I wouldn't have felt angry. I didn't like to see him crying, but I hadn't seen him crying at that point. So I was really angry with him. And then I got to the point where I felt sorry. And I thought, you know, he's very like me in that you can't let go of a certain thing. I can't let go. It's similar things I can't let go. I lost my career because of the phone hacking. So I can't, you know, let go of that. He's got to let go of it and think, well, you know, it wasn't meant to be, it wasn't what God wanted for me, you know, and all that kind of stuff, you know, and let God come in and really start, you know, God come in, because he can't control that all by himself, you know.
He needs to have some healing in his life in some form.
Yeah.
Because he says he's been in that house for 8 years and he don't go out because there's people that want to get him.
Well, I mean, I didn't agree with Daniela saying he was being bipolar. I think he was really, because I don't even agree with you know, that statement of drugs or bipolar. I think he was genuinely upset. I don't think he was having an episode, and I don't think he was on drugs at all. In fact, you can see he's not on drugs. So it was generally upset. Yeah, I mean, he was crying.
He just smokes weed, doesn't he, from what I can see.
I think he has much of it. I think that's just a fag. He said to me he doesn't really like much of it. So I don't think it's drug induced, you know. I think he's just really upset. But I think being the truth community can do that to somebody anyway, you know, all that sort of linking this person with that person and this person is against me. I mean, when the I killed Max stuff,
Oh God,
you know, I found, you know, I would fall out with people because it would be, oh, are you friends with her? Well, she thinks this, you know, and then you sort of ricochet from one person to another. And then you think, oh, are they in it with them? And are they talking about me behind my back with that one? I think he's got to that point where he thinks everybody is friends against him. You know, I'm quite
right.
isolated person. I don't speak to anybody, you know, I actually keep out of it. So I'm not linked actually, you know, with anybody. But if, you know, if he wants to join the dots, whatever, you can't, because I remember thinking, oh, this person is with that person, whatever, and then I would find out, oh, look, they've argued with each other. So, you know, how friendly actually were they? And sometimes friendships with these people, they're based on hating somebody else, so it's not really very real anyway.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with bus stops and all this and this kind of I mean, it's the same in like the UFO community, Bigfoot community. What is it with people? Not making out I'm as some kind of goody two shoes, but bloody hell, ghosts and Bigfoot. I mean, and UFOs. How much is it to fall out of? It's really.
I used to think it was about who's the star, who knows.
Yeah, there is that. Who's the big? Who's number one in the world of Bigfoot?
Who had the worst things happen to the worst sexual abuse? Who, you know, all this kind of stuff.
True.
You know,
True.
Yeah, who's got the biggest story? Who had the most contact with aliens? Or it's an ego. There's an ego thing there, isn't there? For sure.
who is the chosen one? You know, who is the I've noticed what a common thing, it seems to have stopped now, but at one point a lot of people who were in the truth scene, they were claiming they were bloodline. If they weren't super soldiers, and they weren't descended from the Anunnaki or whatever, they were bloodline. Or is that what being bloodline means?
I don't know.
And it's usually to the French royal family or something. I'm thinking, well, that's just rubbish. It's absolutely rubbish. Because there's a lot more to all this than just the bloody French royal family. There's loads of stuff.
Well, I think we're all just bloody little flies, aren't we? Just at the mercy of, we don't live, do we? We don't live. We have our little lives. We go to the supermarket, we get our little tin of baked beans, we go back to our little hovels. That's not what God wanted for us. And there's other people out there you're properly living, enjoying, the whole earth. And then there's like people in Yemen bloody can't even afford a bloody bite of a bit of potato. It's really strange the way the earth is set up, and you can tell that we're not really in charge here, or there's either like really evil humans in charge that hate the rest of us, or it's something that non-human. I don't know which. I struggle sometimes to think, which is it, like Draco reptilian and they hate us, we're just scum to them, or is it really up themselves, elite bastards who just really just hate the rest of us because they think, we're scum? Because there's a lot of that in humanity, isn't there? Like, oh, I'm middle class, you're working class, so you're scum, and you're single, you're a single mother, you're scum, you're black, and there's a lot of hate. And I can imagine there being an elite who look right down their nose at the rest of us and think that we're all dirty and just use us for but then again,
eaters, like Henry Kissinger called us.
Who?
Henry Kissinger called us useless eaters.
Yeah, useless eaters. But then if you bring in this the vaccination, and then you watch programs like, again, go back to Netflix, like Colony and Oblivion, and they're trying to tell us, they do tell us before, so they can say, we've told you. It's a universal law or something. And I do think it is ET related. I really do. If you watch these things, you can see this is what's happening, and it's just going to get nastier and nastier. And even like you can kind of smell World War II as well around, this even like, oh, COVID passports, and those who haven't got it, like, little, you wear the yellow star, and you can't eat, and food is like mega expensive for food, and it's like the World War II. It seems to me it's like just before, and that war got nastier and nastier and nastier, and I think that's what's going to happen. I just think it's going to get nastier and nastier for sure.
So what's the point of it then? Is it to take over the earth?
Yeah, I think somebody said to me that, the Draco had us as an outpost, but now they want us as a full-blown, colony. And so they're just dropping the energy. So we all got our energies denser and denser and denser. And we don't have any of that. We don't have access to, it lowers the frequency, so it's like comfortable for them to make it their home, and they sort of throw in a lot of pain. So we've got the pain, the vax, I don't know what hell they've got in it, but I suspect it's something to lower our frequencies, and then we're all like that, and it makes it more homely for them. There's no joy, there's all pain, and so we're just like, like sort of cockroaches under their feet as they fly in and take it over in the way they will take it over, which I don't know what way they'll take it over, but I think this is all written about, isn't it, in the Bible, about end times and Satan having a last stand. Satan is let loose for a season, and I think probably Satan is this ET, this whatever it is. Maybe they're demons, I don't know, but it's definitely there's something about that vax that just makes me go hot and cold and hot and cold, and we can't even talk about it. I got my Facebook crashed. I used an editor I used to know to speak to somebody. Facebook, I got it restored, but I'm very well aware I'm shadow banned.
hardly get any likes on posts, and the channel here, not many people look at, not many people get to hear what we're saying, and they do that, so there's no point in saying anything, because you just get crashed everywhere. I mean, I don't say anything now on my Facebook. I just use it, just for sort of soft stuff. They just take it down again. And when they take it down, they took mine down, you've got no point of oh, hang on, I got my pictures there. I had pictures that I hadn't stored. It was like, no, you've posted something against our guidelines, you're gone. I mean, it was gone. I mean, and it's upset me. So I don't, I wouldn't talk about what I think about that back. So I wouldn't talk about anything on Facebook. You can't. I mean, you just can't anymore. What does that say?
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. It says there's an agenda, and social networking companies are part of the agenda. So it's propaganda.
And people police each other, I know damn well on my Facebook there was this one and that one that I'd argued with in the truth community, who would like, report your post, you said something that's not really right. You know what I mean? And so we police each other. And that's so ugly. It's so stupid as well. We're being.
Oh, well, you know what happened to me today? I got sent a book about racism through the post anonymously.
Hmm.
So, as if to say to me that I need educating about being a racist, which I'm not a racist.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've got an idea who this is. And then I looked under the reused an envelope, a jiffy bag, and they just put a piece of paper with my name and address on the front. So I just like lifted up what was the original address, and it was the person that I knew, and I thought, what a bloody cheek. That is really insulting. But I'm not going to react to it. I'm really not going to react to it, because I just think it's pathetic.
Reacting is how we beat up ourselves.
Yeah. And it's how dare somebody think that they have to educate you? I lived in bloody Notting Hill, for God's sake, in the early 80s. I saw what happened to black people with the police in Notting Hill. My family's lived round the world. I haven't lived in Matchbox all my life. I've interacted with people from other ethnicities. But,
exactly. You're not racist at all. That's just bullshit. Just ignore them. I mean, is it the woman who's your friend who didn't like your tea towels?
Yep. It's Miss Tea Towels. And it's come out of the blue, because I haven't interacted with her in a long time.
Those tea towels. Come on now, admit those tea towels. You like Tommy Robinson. Like that little shit Robinson. Just joking, people. I know there's a lot of subs I've got that like Tommy.
No, the terrible truth is they were on sale in IKEA in Coventry after the Jubilee. And I thought, oh, that's not. And when IKEA do a sale, they sell things really cheap. So it was totally innocent. As if I'm going to express my white supremacy through a bloody tea towel. I mean, what? Why? If I was going to do that, I'd get the matching fridge magnets, the tea cozy, and the oven gloves. I wouldn't just stop at a tea towel. I'd go full bloody Tommy Robinson. And get everything bloody Union Jack. Oh Jesus, what is wrong with these people? It's like they're having the mind of an ant, honestly. But anyway, it's quite offensive. It's something about some woman. It's a book by some woman, and she said that she stopped talking to white people about race, but the words white people, you can't see them because they're in white. The front of the book is white with black writing, black sort of letters, and the white people bit you can't see because it's in white. I thought, is this like a Jedi mind trick on it? I thought
you just text her and say thanks for the book.
Oh,
Thanks for the book, A Little Kiss.
I just
Super charming.
I just thought, no, I've got more important things to think about in my life right now. I have to look after certain groups of people. I have to run my business. I have to do reading to people. I have to look after myself. I do not have the energy for this. I am not going to put my energy into this. But it's come out of the blue as well. You know, there's no rhyme or reason. So she must have been sat there thinking, I need re-education.
No, she's probably just done it to be mean. I mean, to make you think about her. Because look, she's left the address under the sticker. She knows you'd peel it back, so she is trying to make you think about her.
Well, the sad thing is, I was quite excited for a millisecond. I thought, oh, somebody sent me something nice. And I thought, it's a bit early for Mother's Day. And I thought, oh, it feels like a book. And I thought, what could this be? Who would send me a book? And I had all these possibilities whizzing through my mind, and it's bloody that. And I thought, oh, for God's sake. Could have done with a Mills and Boon raunchy novel or something. Not a thing about if you can still get them. I don't even know if you can still get them. Showing me age there, aren't I?
You should read Outlander. You'd love it.
Oh God, no.
Yes.
No, thank you. No.
The perfect man.
I've had my head done in well and truly about that. Who's the perfect man, Jamie?
Jamie. Oh God. Wait till if you ever watch him on Amazon Prime.
I've watched
Jamie.
him. I've been forced to watch him. Yes, I've been forced to watch whole series of Outlander. So
You fall
why
in
is
love
he?
with Jamie. You must have fallen in love with Jamie.
No, I thought it was cheesy. Why is he? Why is he the perfect man?
Because he's like, tough and warrior and he can fight and yet he's kind and
Oh God! No, I tell you, it's nearly as bad as what's that thing that's like dwarfs with porn that everybody was into? What was it?
It's Grey.
What?
50 Shades of Grey.
No, the one that had dragons and
Oh, it is like Game of Thrones. Sure,
Game
they
of
say
Thrones, that's it. Oh
they say
my God.
Scotland.
I've seen glimpses of that, glimpses. And it was like, what the Jesus in hell is this? It was.
I'm going up to Scotland. Come, the lockdown's over. I'm going up there to dance around the stone.
If Nippy Cranky will let you in, that is, she's trying to ban the English from Scotland. Don't forget. You're going to go to the stones where you travel back in time, whatever it is, to the Jacobites and all that.
For Jacobite.
Oh, well, no, I'm sorry, dear. Doesn't do it for me at all. Not at all. No. I'd rather watch Family Guy, to be quite honest. I'm just a complete Philistine. But I'm glad it's made, a lot of people happy. I wonder what inspired that lady to write it, though, because she's an American, isn't she? She's an American doctor.
Oh, it's based on folklore. It's based on are you still there? Sorry.
I am. I'm listening. I am falling asleep this time. Sorry about
that. Sorry. No, it's based on folklore that a lot of people have gone through, and it's known as a portal.
Oh, the actual stones. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think I've heard Kev Baker talking about it. Yeah, Kev Baker's talked about that. Yeah, I've heard that. No, but I mean the Outlander story. What inspired her to write it?
I guess going to Scotland and seeing the stones and yeah, that kind of thing. But time travel is quite interesting. There's a lot of like movies like Somewhere in Time and Millennium, and they've taken them all down. You can't get a time travel story for Love Nor Money, which is suspicious.
What? You can't get a time. They've taken down time travel stories.
They have, yeah. Somewhere in Time, like it's a really good movie, but you can't really see it anymore. I mean, it's not out there. And same with Millennium. You know that film Millennium, which is really good.
Millennium. I don't know, but Scotland is definitely. I have you ever been to the Hebrides, the Inner Hebrides, Outer Hebrides?
I think I went as far. Oh God, I think I went as far as Mull.
Right. Because I had a weird experience on Islay. I've been to Islay twice, which is a small island in the Inner Hebrides. It has a lot of whiskey distilleries. Yeah. Oh, right. I went with a friend when my son was really small, and we went for a walk, and it was by this lake. We ended up by this sort of small lake that had a really weird atmosphere, really weird. And there was like this old abandoned croft, and that had a weird atmosphere. And at one point, my son was tiny, and he was pointing and he was saying, "Man, man," and there was nobody there. But the weird thing that happened was, we were walking along, and I looked down at this stone, and it was like one of those stones, old-fashioned stones that mark how far it is to, like you used to see in fairy tales, like how far it is to London and things like that. It was shaped like that, but I mean, it's an island in the Hebrides, so it's. But I looked at this stone, and it had like this weird symbol on it, and it was like oh God, what is it? Like a vortex type thing, a swirl type thing. I can't explain what I mean. And my friend was talking away, and I thought, what the hell is that? I thought, why is that on that stone? And I was looking at it, trying to work out what it was, and it just disappeared. It just evaporated. And I was looking at it and thinking, am I hallucinating? And then it just wasn't there anymore. And my friend saw me sort of looking a bit weird. She said, "Are you all right?" And I was just like, it was too weird to explain to somebody. Oh, what do you call it? I've seen it. It's like a Viking symbol. I think it's to do with, because the Vikings were all over. But it's like but it was on this stone 1 minute, and then next thing it had gone. It's so weird. And that was really odd. And then my son could see this man that we couldn't see, and this lake felt it was really weird. But places like that are hotbeds of activity, aren't they? Because of the history.
Scotland, yeah, Scotland's lovely. Up at the Highlands, it's incredibly mystical, isn't it?
Yeah, I love Scotland. I love
I
Scotland.
do. I'd love to go back up there. I hope we don't have to have the bloody COVID vaccine passport.
Yeah, I always seem to end up in Argyll a lot for some reason.
I haven't been there.
And what do you call it? Fort William, around that area.
Fort William's nice. It's absolutely freezing, isn't it? Are you cold where you are? Because it's freezing where I am.
Yeah, it's been weird today. It's been sunny, and yeah, it's freezing cold. Bright sunshine, but freezing cold.
Yeah.
So I can't work that out at all. But yeah, Scotland's absolutely really gorgeous. But yeah, that's how I ended up going near Culloden. And it's horrible. It has such a horrible atmosphere. The nearer I get to it, the sicker I feel.
Really?
It's just black. Yeah, black.
Yeah, not Scottish. The English were quite out of order to the poor old Scottish, weren't they?
But I think some clans might have helped them. I don't think it was totally black and white as usual. It never is with these things. It's made out to be black and white, but I don't think, because don't forget there were what is it? The McDonald's and the, what's the other one? Those two clans were warring for years, and I think
yeah, and they joined in with the English.
I think some people helped the English. They were like self-serving because they wanted to bump off other people.
It's very easy. Yeah, it's very esoteric. Those are like Glencoe and Rannoch. You know, it's all very.
Well, there's quite a lot of Bigfoot activity in Scotland, isn't there? In the forests.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there's meant to be Bigfoot. I'm not sure about dogmen, but I think there might be a frost giant. on one of the mountains. Like you get frost giants, that's really weird. Because some people still say that giants still exist in different places.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah, so really snowy mountainy places have frost giants, and they're like giants to giants. They're mega. And they're just like a solitary. It's usually a man. I've never heard a woman described, and they're just huge, and they're like the sort of guardians of the mountain, and oversee other giants. But yeah, Scotland's brilliant. It's I love it. Well, but a lot of us have got Scottish ancestry anyway. I've got Scottish ancestry. I'm sure you have.
Really?
Yeah, we all have, haven't we? Most of us.
Have we?
I definitely have. I've got Scottish and Irish, and I've even got Finnish, believe it or not.
I've got Irish, yeah.
Yeah, I know you've got Irish.
Glamorous as Scots, probably.
Eh?
Irish isn't as glamorous as Scots, is it? Oh, I don't know. Nobody's listening at this point.
Yeah, but don't forget that with the Highland clearances, that a lot of people went to Ireland, didn't they?
Did
And
they?
then, yeah, the Highland clearances, and then with the plantations, there were plantations in Ulster.
Were there?
Yeah, because my brother's been doing our family tree, and some of our family come from Downpatrick, which is 20 miles south of Belfast. And so I started looking into history for that area, and there were plantations. This is in like I think Queen Elizabeth the first time or something.
Right.
So it was the flight of the earls. A lot of the landed gentry fled, and the English took over the land, and they started these plantations. So they just brought loads of people from Scotland and some people from England, and the Irish weren't allowed to own or work on them. It was almost like South Africa or something under apartheid, but
I didn't know that. What's it called?
the plantations, the Irish plantations.
Oh, I'll look that up. So, what did they clear the Highlands then? The English? What they just said?
Clearances, yeah, they got rid of the Highlanders, and so
Why?
they could take over. Well, so they could take
So they could take over.
yeah, and because they were giving them grief, weren't they? They were fighting back. So
Yeah.
they had to break them down. They had to break them, and because they had a strong tradition of the clans that had gone on for centuries, so they had to break all that. So that's why there's loads of red hair in certain parts of Ireland because of the Scottish.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So I thought that was an Irish thing. So what? The Irish wouldn't have red hair?
No, I think some of them would, but some of them will. But there's the Black Irish as well, isn't there? There's people that got very black hair, and that's something to do with the Spanish invading.
Right.
Spanish influence or something, but yeah, loads of Scottish people. That's why there's the loyalist thing and all that going on.
What do you mean?
Because they're like sort of created their own communities, and they were for the union, of England, Ireland, and Scotland, and that's stayed, hasn't it, all this time.
Yeah, my son bizarrely is buying off flags and badges of unionists. I was like, but hang on.
What, the Red Band of Ulster thing?
Yes, he's got it on his wall. I mean,
That's a bit weird, isn't it, for a teenager? Yeah, because I've been looking into that. I've been trying to find out what that means.
oh, well, if you find out, let me know, please. Yeah, my son is like drawn to it, and I'm like, it's weird because I keep telling him, you're Irish and Catholic.
Yeah. Oh, that's
He's wedded to it. He's Protestant, I know. Protestant.
Yeah.
It's interesting because he's all interested in the UDA, and I was out in Belfast, interviewing the UDA. I got to know him pretty well,
I wonder why he's interested in that. Well, it's funny because where I'm from, I grew up with loads of people with McSorley, McCormick, because loads of Irish people came to where I am, and every year there used to be the Orange Parade through the town.
Mm.
So there must have been quite a strong Protestant contingent. But then we've had loads of Scottish as well. It's where there's been big shipyards, because there's a big shipyard in Glasgow, big shipyard in Belfast. So it's people from shipyards that have come to Barrow because of there being a big shipyard there. So that's why. But there's also loads of Cornish people came to Barrow as well, because when the tin mines closed. So there's loads of Cornish people, Cornish names. It's weird.
Some of the English are quite funny. I mean, the English are responsible for quite a lot of mean stuff around the world, and I often wonder what are the sort of baseline English? What are they? Where do they come from? Some people say it's Germany. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, but it's meant to be that John Dee created the British Empire on the Isle of Dogs on mud ships.
Oh, really? Like the elite. I don't mean obviously, us, but because I'm half English.
Oh, the elite. Oh, I don't know. Is it German? I don't know.
I don't know, but they can be quite cold. They've caused a lot of shit, haven't they? Really,
What is it with Germany? Why does Germany come up in things all the time?
I know. I don't
Why
know.
is lots of things? It's odd.
I feel sorry for the Yemenis. I mean, we're in a sort of a relationship with Saudi Arabia, and now, we've bombed. Well, they've bombed them, but might as well be nicer now. I didn't know we gave them that much. It's like, whoa, and then we're sort of we give them like millions. I mean, we give them millions each year. And now we're halving it, but it's still quite a lot. But people are disgusted.
Oh, what? To Yemen, we give them.
Yeah.
Well, my brother worked in Yemen and lived in Yemen for a while.
Did he? So you liked it?
Well, it's dirt poor. It's a very poor place. That was ages ago. They've got oil, because my brother wouldn't have been there if there wasn't oil.
He's
not a boss, by the way. He's just worked in the oil industry for years. But yeah, probably the vast majority of people won't see it. It's meant to be beautiful in parts, beautiful country, but yeah, it's terrible. Why are the Saudis having is it to do with a political faction or something? What's it all about? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't read. I'm going to read up about it. I don't want to feel ignorant and not know about it. But not yet. Yeah, I haven't read it yet.
I know Joe Biden's bombed Syria. What is it? Something to do with Iranian-backed forces?
Yes, I've heard that. Yeah, it's not really hit the mainstream much, has it?
No, but I mean, it's just mental. Really, it's mental.
I guess we best close up, hadn't we?
Yeah, sure, because we'll end up rambling on for ages.
I need to use the loo, and I'm like, could I use
All right, okay.
Probably not.
All right then. Do you feel better?
Well, yes, thank you. Thank you. I feel better, and thank you, listeners, for listening. It's been great. See you next week. Do you think, Joanna? Yes.
Yeah, we're going to do a show on Monday, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we'll do another. I think we're going to do it around issues again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right then, Christine. Good night. Good night.
I'll let you say the good nights to the audience.
Okay then. All right.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. See you next week. Bye.